A5 Sportback is a big deal because this is the first time that the Sportback has been available in the United States. The previous generation was available, but only in Europe. It's based on the normal A5, and it's basically Audi's answer to BMW's 4 Series Grand Coupe. And one of the best things is, even though you get 2 more doors in the styling of a coupe, it costs $200 less than the normal A5. Unfortunately, there is no manual transmission option. The only transmission available is a 7-speed double clutch automatic. But the great thing is, it's actually really, really good. I'm surprised for a car of this nature. This isn't the S5, it's just an A5, yet it has a double clutch transmission that responds instantly to any inputs that you give it. Upshifts, downshifts, everything. The transmission is really good in every environment except for right off the line. For some reason, the initial hit off the line seems like it lags, and then when the turbos kick in, it pushes you forward. 0 to 60 happens in just 5.7 seconds. That's what Audi claims. It actually feels a little bit faster than that. The overall driving experience of the new A5 has really impressed me for the time I've had the vehicle. The steering weight is very light. You can control the drive settings via Drive Select from Comfort, Auto, Dynamic, and Individual. But in Comfort mode, it's so easy to drive, and it feels more like a luxury car than its price would suggest. But it drives more like a sports car than its curb weight of 3,700 pounds would suggest. Feels very light on its feet. It's a relaxing driving experience. And when you put it in dynamic mode and floor it and use the paddles mounted behind the steering wheel, it's actually really fun to drive. The A5 Sportback is based on the underpinnings of the Audi A4. In fact, it's almost identical, despite the fact that it is 1.6 inches in overall height lower than the A4 is. Of course, it's got unique styling on the outside. That's what makes this special. For people who like the way it looks, then this is the clear choice over the coupe or potentially over the A4. I haven't decided or made up my mind about the looks of this vehicle. The front end feels a little bit pinched to me. Now, that was exacerbated on video and in pictures. Seeing it in person, the proportions looked a lot better. I love the side profile as well as the rear, and the turn signals are so cool, both on this and the A4. When you turn your turning indicators on, these LEDs go in sequence. Awesome. Under the hood of the vehicle lies a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder, making 252 horsepower and 273 pound-feet of torque. Now these days, 200-something horsepower doesn't really sound like all that much, but I promise you, it's actually plenty of power for the purpose of the car. Now, if you want more power, of course, you can opt for the S5. It's a $12,000 premium over this A5. Whether it's worth it or not is up to your preferences. If you need a faster car, if you want a more sporty driving experience, of course the Audi S models are going to be more tailored to that. But if you don't and you just want something comfortable to drive, something that feels fun, even though it's not extremely fast, this is pretty awesome. The A5 is based on Audi's new MLB Evo platform. MLB stands for Modular Longitudinal Matrix. What that really means is the company is able to build a platform where the engine and the transmission for a bunch of vehicles are in the exact same spot. This drops engineering costs. Other vehicles that are on MLB Evo are the Audi Q7, the Bentayga, the A8, and this A5. It also means the new A5 is lighter. It's 187 pounds, which is a pretty big deal, lighter than the previous generation. It's also got a better coefficient of drag, and that, combined with the lower weight, leads to an overall efficiency increase of 22%. It's also got lower CO2 emissions, and because it's lighter, it's going to handle better. The interior is a massive upgrade over the previous generation. Instead of an analog speedo and tachometer, we've got Audi's virtual cockpit. It's fully digital, and it's customizable as well. If you click the view button located on the steering wheel, you can make the instrument clusters smaller and have a bigger navigation screen in the back. Click it again, and you get a bigger tach and speedo. Also, in the center of those is customizable as well. Right now I'm looking at the map, but I can change it to phone or music or check out my range. In the center here, we have a beautiful LCD screen. It's got excellent color graphics, and the ergonomics are pretty easy to use, especially with this turn dial, and it doesn't have a fancy touchpad that pretty much is useless and nobody will ever use. You've got programmable buttons here as well. None of these are assigned, but that's pretty cool. 8 different buttons that you can assign custom things. The climate control looks really nice as well. Also got some LEDs reading out the temperature. Everything feels really good to the touch. When you turn to turn up or down the climate control, it makes this nice satisfying click, and it feels good as well. We've also got some buttons laid out here, which are touch and force feedback for turning up the fan, 3-zone climate control, so on and so forth. Below that, we've got the drive select as well as traction control, parking sensors, and turning off the screen. The rest of the interior is very well put together. Audi has top-notch materials, but the design language feels more advanced and more modern than the previous gen. You would hope so, but it's not always the case with manufacturers. Sometimes they go wrong. The wraparound aluminum trim looks fantastic, and the texture of the aluminum is actually really nice. These leather seats are comfortable and supportive. However, I'm not sold on the material. It feels a little bit cheap compared to what you'd expect from an Audi. The good news is there's actually a ton of legroom in the back. Now, because of the sloping design, headroom is kind of limited. At 5'11", I've got about 1/4 of an inch of headroom. You almost have to slouch a little bit. So that's not all that great, but it does give you good looks, and you have a massive hatch in the rear. Lift that up and you've got an enormous amount of trunk space. Having that enormous amount of trunk space while having a good looking design and having rear legroom is a pretty impressive feat. And that's what made something like the Audi A7 sell so well in the US, and why I believe that this will do well as well. That was a lot of wells. Honestly, the transmission is probably what's impressed me the most about the A5. Putting a double clutch in a lower end non-sport vehicle is a really good move. Because BMW, in a way, has always been known for the driving experience. Audi is the classy, practical, all-around car because they're mostly all-wheel drive, but it didn't really have that driving-focused experience that BMW has. Now with a double-clutch transmission and just a normal A5, that's a step in the right direction. Transmission responds so quick, it doesn't deny your shifts, makes everything a little bit more exciting. I'm also impressed with the way it sounds. As a 4-cylinder, I wasn't sure if I was going to like the way it sounds, but it's so smooth, and actually the power band feels very linear. When the boost kicks in, you do get a little extra surge, but it feels like you have power throughout the entire RPM range. Visibility is great in the A5, nice frontal visibility, same with side and rear. We've got a low profile, really good looking rear view mirror actually, that gives you perfect viewing of what's behind you. We've got a nice sunroof here. The A5 starts at $42,600, but there are definitely some options that are worth taking a look at. For instance, the $3,000 premium package gives you heated mirrors, heated power 8-way adjustable seats, as well as parking assist, Sirius XM trials, and LED headlights, and a few other things as well. Also, the Bang & Olufsen sound system upgrade is not all that expensive, relatively speaking, and they make one hell of a sound system. We've also got the S-Line Sport package, which gives you better wheels, as well as some S-Line insignias that make it look a little bit more like an S5. When you buy an A5, it also comes with 4-year, 50,000-mile warranty, as well as a 1-year or 10,000-mile maintenance package. So that means you don't have to pay for your first service, and if anything breaks under warranty, they'll fix it for free. It's nice to keep the running costs down, and honestly, Audi, Porsche, Volkswagen have been doing very well recently. Overall, I really like the way this A5 Sportback drives. It's a very practical vehicle. It's all-wheel drive, so you can drive it year-round. It's faster than I expected. The transmission is glorious, and if you like the styling, then that's just one more reason to get one. Special thanks to Fred Lavery Audi for letting me review the car. This is available there now. I hope you enjoyed this video. Like always, please browse the channel and subscribe. I look forward to seeing you next video.